This story happened back when I worked as a journalist for a newspaper that covered all sorts of topical issues. Our newspaper was accused of being yellow, but it was well bought and published in color. But more to the point, that day I was about to leave the editorial office, literally standing with the keys on the doorstep, when I got a call from the chief. I had a premonition of bad news. So it is, someone, exactly on Friday night, urgently needed to stamp in the ready almost issue paid article about a certain businessman who raised on the departmental territory in the literal sense of a garbage dump and, I must think, had a good income from it. The territory was a wasteland about 20 kilometers from the city, once there began to build a residential complex. But the diggings dug for houses did not go further, the construction was frozen. And the diggings for many years turned into swamps, even wild ducks flew there. Well, and organized on this dead territory private garbage collection, even 15 years ago. And now the authorities have come to their senses. They remembered the motto of the Russian people, not an inch to the enemy, not otherwise. These hectares will be distributed to large families. Here, say, we improve conditions. In short, an understandable picture. I, in turn, was required to go to these swamp dumps and make a couple of shots. Heaps of garbage, of course, flocks of crows or some other trash. But the Volf and the journalist, as you know, feed the feet, and I, encouraged by the double fee, got into the car. It was the end of March, I think, and by the time I got there, it was getting dark. There was the vacant lot. I got out and first clicked the dump in all its splendor from a distance, a panoramic view, so to speak. Some of the heaps were really such that it was possible to take a picture of them only from afar, like motherland. But that was not enough. It would be good, I thought, to shoot some dogs or some eyeless doll in a pile of garbage, but it was somewhere already. With that in mind, I headed straight for the dump. Oh, nice shot. There's a dog corpse lying sprawled out in a swampy puddle, contaminating the water for large families. Oh, it fucking stinks. I raised the camera above me to get a shot from above. Suddenly I heard squelching footsteps and flinched. A human figure was approaching me. I felt uneasy, but I decided that there was nothing to be afraid of if it was the local homeless people. I would give them some vodka and they would go away. It was indeed a homeless woman. A real one, like a pancake from the series about Lyuka Nikolov. I always got that series and now I remembered it. I don't know how old the woman was, an alkie, of course, with a so-called lion's face from years of drinking. Dirty jacket, barefoot sneakers, short straight hair. But she didn't seem interested in me as potential profit. As she approached me, the homeless woman did not even raise her head, but muttered, however, stopping, "My little piggy." I haven't seen my little piggy. Where the fuck is he? I should have guessed that the woman was out of her mind or just drunk, so I answered for some reason. "No, mother, I haven't seen it." The homeless woman didn't pay attention to my remark and went deep into the dumps to look for her piglet, probably. What the fuck is a piglet? Where the fuck he'd come from? Fuck knows. Maybe the bums got their own place. After all these years, I took a picture of the homeless woman walking away in the sunset light. It was spectacular. The heaps of garbage rose in dark picturesque outlines. It was a pity there was no flock of crows. Deciding that it would be enough for an article, I hurried back. I still had to send the pictures to the editor. I pulled out my phone to check the time. The pause suddenly focused me on my surroundings. It was quiet. The wind carried rustling bags and boxes. A huge vacant lot stretched out in all four directions. I felt uneasy, an inner trembling that urged me to get back into the car. A kind of primal fear of the open space that seemed to have been triggered in me. I felt like someone was watching me. I wondered if the grass had crunched. No, it felt like it. I turned around and quickened my pace. Suddenly something came at me and tried to knock me down. I dropped to all fours in the liquid, stinking mud and reflexively kicked the thing that had attacked me. It bounced away silently, but I felt that I couldn't get away easily. I quickly grabbed a rock and tried to see my opponent. It was only a split second, I suppose, but to this day what I saw, my memory obligingly tucked away in its ugliest features like a photograph. It was undoubtedly a human being. It was a small, stocky, hunchbacked man or a guy, it was unclear, but I thought I noticed a mustache. Large, sparse teeth protruded from under the upper lip, and as if false, protruded forward. I was struck by his arms. They were short and curled, like those of a tyrannosaur. And because of the hump and those arms he really looked like an animal. Flat back of his head, small, expressionless eyes, and this hump, huge, just huge. He moved on four limbs, as I understand it, And this degenerate face freak picks up a rock and throws it at me first. It hit me in the head, and he started fumbling around with his stumps looking for the next one. I didn't have time to be distracted by the pain. I frantically estimated that it would take me 50 meters to get to the car, no less. I threw a rock at him and sprinted. The fucker galloped after me, breathing heavily and snoring. "What the fuck do you want, asshole? Fuck off." I shouted as loud as I could. He tried to jump on me again but didn't get it. Jesus, there's the car. While I was fumbling with the alarm, the dumpster monster dug into my leg and bit it. I screamed and kicked it, trying to shake it off and get into the car. Bingo. I slammed the door behind me and started the car with trembling hands. Meanwhile, it jumped on my hood and started banging on the windshield with a stick. I don't know how he didn't realize to take a piece of rebar. Then everything happened, as it is customary to write, as in a fog. I started the car and accelerated straight for the dumpster. The dumpster creature softly crunched and crumpled between the tank and the bumper. Blood gushed from its mouth. I didn't think about getting out of the car. While I was turning the car around, I saw in the mirror that a crazy homeless woman was running toward the scene. I figured she heard my screams. In the light of the headlights, I saw how she ran up to the murdered freak and, instead of being surprised or screaming, she dragged him by the leg into the depths of the dumpster. "Fucking piggy," she mumbled to me. I still don't know if she said it or not, because with the car running, I could hardly hear what she said through the glass. I'd finally left the fucking dump, and the crushed corpse of the homeless bastard was still in front of my eyes. I was aching and nauseous and had a headache. I must have gotten a concussion. But as it turned out, that wasn't the end of the story. When I arrived at the editorial office, I couldn't keep quiet about what had happened to me in the dump, and I had to explain my injuries and dirty clothes somehow. So I told it like it was. The police became interested in the case, and the scandal in the press turned out to be quite good. Like, not only did they shit the ground, but also a den of almost cannibalism, and horrible details came to light. When the police came to the dugouts of those bums, and there were certainly a lot of them in that place, they found several iron cages, where the children of these very bums were kept, which they gave birth to in a drunken frenzy. Imbeciles like themselves. They put them in the cages for who knows why. Cramped up, they'd grow up ugly and speechless. They called them piglets. It's unclear whether they ate their own piglets or sent them to hunt for prey like me. Anyway, they found a lot of human and even infant bones in the swamps nearby. It was a big scandal. The dump was burned down and the bums went who knows where. By the way, I concealed the fact that I crushed that piglet. I said I just drove away. And who's gonna look into it? The homeless probably ate it right up. But the thought that I killed that garbage monster still haunts me to this day.